Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Garcia and I will be going over my thematic project on perseverance. The following are the book options that I selected and 3 poems for my thematic project. Esperanza Rising, I Lived on Butterfly Hill, One Shadow on the Wall, Wonderstruck, Dancing Home, Mother to Son, Second Attempt Crossing, and Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Each character in these books was faced with challenges and obstacles. For Esperanza, she lost her father at a young age, and she had to leave her grandmother in Mexico to escape with her mother to the United States. There they became migrant farm workers, and they had to work in harsh conditions. They faced discrimination, and with other people together, they created friendships and support groups to overcome a lot of difficulties that arose for her. She did persevere in the end. Similar to Esperanza, we have another character, Celeste, and the setting took place in Chile, and during the 1970s, there was a military dictatorship that took over, which caused a lot of political unrest and turmoil in the country. People began disappearing, and the solution to this was that her family sent her to the United States to live with her aunt in Maine in the meantime. So she had to leave everyone behind her and learn a new language, adapt to a new culture, climate, and a new school. One Shadow of a Wall on the Wall is a story about a young boy from Africa that eventually loses both of his parents, and he has to take care of his 2 younger sisters. He is targeted by a gang in the country, and he has to make very difficult decisions, but in the end, he does overcome them. For Wonderstruck, the main character suffers an accident and becomes deaf. Shortly, his mother dies, and he is left with literally no family, so he begins to search for his dad that he has never met. He never gives up, and he continues his search on finding a family to love. So this story is told in 2 different points of view, which in the end is another one of his relatives. It has a lot of pictures, so this can be a great text for students to use to follow the visuals. Dancing Home is about 2 young girls. One of the young girls is from the United States. She was born and raised here, but she has a hard time accepting her Mexican roots and culture. So when her cousin comes to the United States and she has to translate for her and just do so many different things, she realizes that she has to accept the differences and even, connect back to her own cultural roots with her family members. So she overcomes a lot of these difficulties in accepting her native culture. I will go over book 1 and book 2 in more detail. These 2 books do touch on the topic about family separation and the struggles of traveling to another country to escape danger. So one takes place in Chile, one takes place in Mexico, and they both travel to the United States. Before reading these books, we can discuss the topic of family separation as a whole group. We can ask the students why this happens. They will be provided with nonfiction resources such as videos on migrant farm worker strikes, not just the one from the story which took place in California. They can also read articles on what children go through when they're separated from their parents, and even some biographies of people that have experienced this throughout history. The students will be given opportunities to read with partners. They can also read in book clubs and do roll sheets until they finish each of the books. When they discuss with their groups and the class, they will make predictions and connections. The students will identify the different topics in each book because some of them do talk about death, illnesses, being orphans, discrimination, accepting identity. So there's different topics, but they all fall under the same umbrella that they overcome these challenges on those topics. After reading, they will learn about perseverance. So the various ways people in other countries and cultures face similar problems. So it's not just, Mexicans immigration. It's also Filipino, it could be from Korea, it could be from other Southern American countries. In more detail, we can go over Esperanza Rising. I did a short summary, and it's a historical fiction, so the students can find more nonfiction resources. I have provided the Delano Grape Strike. That's from when Filipinos also fought for better working conditions. And there's also informational text on Cesar Chavez, which he played a big role in the rights for the farm workers. And we can compare the past farm working conditions to the present to see if anything has changed, and if it has not, what can we do on the topic of social justice, and how immigration is it's an ongoing topic and not problem but situation in our country. And the students will learn that sometimes life can change for the worst, just like Esperanza, but in the end they have to keep pushing through and overcome. For I Lived on Butterfly Hill, I really took a long time reading this text from beginning to end. And I think that for reading strategies, I can provide a short video about the Chile dictatorship of 1970, because even I wasn't totally aware of it. If students can pre-watch this video or read a short article, then they can have their partner read or small group book club to read the text together and do a lot of turning and talk, discussing what has happened, etc. For post reading strategy, they will create a timeline of the events so they can understand what cause and effect, what happened that led to all these events, and then how did she overcome the problems that she faced. I have a couple of lesson ideas that I chose. The definition of perseverance. So of course, before we begin reading these texts, they need to understand what it means and identifying which characters have this trait. They will do some research and history lessons, comparing, contrasting, and making connections. They can also do journal entries, either writing a letter to a character and just connecting with them, or putting themselves in their place. What would you do if you were separated from your family or you had to go through something like that? So I will make sure that the students also have a lot of these articles and videos to access, and pictures of other cultures, like the little boy from Africa, Korea, Mexico, and Chile. And that is it for my project. Thank you.